What's up, everybody? Welcome to the POVincent podcast here on the River's Edge Online Radio Network. I'm your host, Vincent Didiano, giving you my point of view on movies. With me, of course, is my friend and co-host, the film fatale, Jay.
Hello.
All right, so last week we reached the halfway point of our review of the Hunger Games franchise with The Hunger Games Catching Fire, aka Hungerer Games. I don't know.
Yes.
But so now we're starting with the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1, which is what part of the trend that was going on back then of we take the last book and we split it up into two movies. Unless you're the Lord of the Rings and they're like, we're going to take one single book and stretch it the fuck out into three movies and make up a poorly put together romance that
they really whatever.
But we're not talking about that, motherfuckers. We're talking about the Hunger Games. So this movie is where even though it's funny, the Hunger Games are the official Hunger Games, like we're done. The franchise is done with like the actual games aspect of it, and we're getting into this whole thing. But I guess you could say we'll explain as we go, like why in a way there's kind of a new type of Hunger Game going on, which it still fits. But before we get into that, Jay, give the people the trivia download.
So Mockingjay Part 1 was released in 2014. Francis Lawrence is once again the director. The screenplay is by Danny Strong and Peter Craig. It is once again produced by Nina Jacobson and John Killick. We have a lot of familiar faces in this movie, a lot of returning cast. Obviously, Jennifer Lawrence, Josh Hutcherson, Liam Hemsworth, Philip Seymour Hoffman's back. We have Elizabeth Banks, Sutherland, Harrelson, Stanley Tucci are all back. Jenna Malone and Sam Claflin are back. We also have some new faces, though. Julianne Moore comes on as President Alma Coyne, who is the leader of District 13. Or like rather the president of the rebellion. And we also have Mahershala Ali in this movie, which I can't remember having seen him in anything before this, like noticeably.
Well, I mean, I think he's one of those actors that I would see from time to time, but he didn't really make it big until like a year or two after this. Because I think the first thing that because he got award nominations for The Green Book a couple years ago. But I think the first thing that really got him like noticed was he was the main villain in the Luke Cage TV series. Well, one of the main, like season 2 had 2 main villains. They kind of switched them, but he was really good in that. And and of course now we know Mahershala Ali, Academy Award winner. He's going to go on to be the new Blade, which I love that story behind him becoming Blade. Like Marvel had no plans to really make a Blade movie.
I know.
He won an Oscar. He's like, Kevin Feige, I want to talk to you. And Kevin Feige's like, Academy Award winner Mahershala Ali, I'd love to talk to you.
Yeah, what's up?
You get together and it's like, hey, I don't know what your plans are, but I want to be Blade. And they were like, you have an Academy Award, done. Like
now we can redo it and hopefully make a movie that is never as bad as the third Blade film.
No, it's not. Funny we're talking about this. I didn't plan it. There was I didn't get a chance to read it. There was an article. I wish I could find it. An article I saw pop up on my Facebook feed that said, here it is right here. It's from Cinema Blend. I still have it on my 5 reasons why Blade Trinity is the Godfather Part 3 of superhero movies, and that's okay. That's I don't know what it actually says. I don't know what.
The best part of that film is just Ryan Reynolds' performance.
I know, right?
I guess we can all be thankful because I feel like that is actually the movie that's all anyone could say. So it launched Ryan Reynolds' career a little further because people were like, well, at least that guy's funny.
Yeah.
Like, I'll watch that guy. And they were like, okay.
Well, the problem with the Blade franchise, we're going to get back into Hunger Games real quick, but the problem with the Blade franchise is like they kept switching directors around.
Yeah.
Like, because you had...
we've discussed before how that can really fuck up a franchise.
Oh, yeah, because it could change the tone, pacing, the atmosphere, because different directors have different styles.
It can change the canon. It can change so much.
Yeah. But back into the Hunger Games. So
Yes.
let's. I'll go over the plot real quick of this one.
Hmm.
And the plot is for this one is so it's right after the second Hunger Games. Katniss and Finnick, right? Yeah, Finnick. They're at this secret army base that's in District 13, which District
Hmm.
13 was supposed to be destroyed 75 years ago during the last rebellion. But apparently, there have been survivors, and they've been like rebuilding underground,
Yep.
and they are part of the revolution. We find out many people uh, from that were involved were getting Katniss ready. They were planning this revolution during the 75th Hunger Games, unbeknownst to Katniss, that they were trying to keep her alive so she wouldn't die, so she could be the symbol of the rebellion.
Yeah.
And you got Hamish was involved in this. You got Plutarch was involved, and of course we have
Hmm.
Julianne Moore, who find out she's the leader of what's left of District 13 because they've basically been a hidden society. Well, they explain it was like they kept District 13 was kind of like the military district, and
Yeah,
so
before District 2,
yeah,
District 13 was the military district.
yeah. So they had an underground base, and they did have some survivors, and they were
Hmm.
keeping their heads down, surviving
In
on.
a facility, yeah.
Yeah, but so the plot goes into Katniss now having to become the symbol of this rebellion, and that's hard for Katniss because she's not one for the spotlight. She didn't, she hates the capital, but she's not a I want to lead an army. She's I just want to
Yeah.
get back at them, which is not. But over the course of things, she, uh, because
She finds her own.
she finds her own, and she's a good-hearted person because like she gets
She's a
more and more.
good-hearted person.
Yeah, yeah, she is hard to get along with, but in that she does care, and that's what's going on with her. It's like she doesn't really want to do this, but when she sees, as we go through the movie, what's happening to the other districts, including her own district, uh,
Yeah.
yeah. But before we get into that, I just want the continuing thing of PTSD that they're carrying throughout these films because these are young people, these victors are people that are basically like in a 1 day or well, like a few day a week, however the games last,
Yeah.
uh, war. And this is building to the point where we see Katniss in the games movie, and she's like hiding out in some kind of duct, like I don't know, like a maintenance duct or something like that.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah,
like
I think that's what it was.
yeah, like she can't sleep. She's like because she doesn't have PETA around to like cuddle with her and ease her into sleep. So
Yeah.
she's dealing with that. Finnick is also dealing with that. Also because his girlfriend was taken by the Capitol, and so yeah, so they're like because they just been through a second fucking Hunger Games, and they're messed up. Katniss needs time to like wind down. She doesn't really want to talk to anybody.
And unfortunately, there really is no time for her.
There is no time. And yeah, she's got to get thrust into things. So
But yeah, no, these films really do a good job of portraying PTSD, and I think the trauma. Um, you know, there are a lot of countries in the world that actually do go through things like this. So I think that they did a really good job of showing the experience of other people, truly, through these actors. They did pick a phenomenal cast. It's an all-star cast. They knocked it out of the ballpark. Um, Everyone's performance is really, really good. Jennifer Lawrence, obviously, you know, fantastic performance as Katniss Everdeen.
oh yeah,
Launched her career into stardom. um, and it's obvious when you watch these films to see why.
yeah. No, I mean it's one of the reasons why whenever she would be coming out with a new movie, I wanted to go see it. Because
Hmm.
she's just so solid most of the time. I think the only
Yeah.
movie of hers that I haven't seen every movie she's done. I'm not going to pretend I didn't see that Red Sparrow one where she was she was like Black Widow, but not Black Widow. Uh,
Oh, I forgot about that one.
yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that
Uh,
one either.
yeah. The only one or movies of her that I didn't like was the movie Mother, which I think I mentioned that before on the show. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I
so I
really
won't go
like
into it.
that film because it's so just absolutely bizarre. Um, but I really like bizarre films, so
That's good. That's good. I good.
Yeah.
It was like, I get it. Like I like, well, I half an hour after I saw the movie, when my brain was able to settle from all the understanding. But finally, like, once my brain settled, it was like, oh, that's what was going on. Oh, okay. And
Yeah.
then I was like, okay,
It was like,
like
oh shit.
yeah, I appreciate that movie for its like artistic, uh,
Hmm.
art. My brain's getting scrambled thinking about those scenes. So it's artistic. It's artisticness. I'll say that it's
She did a
artisticness.
good job in
She
it.
did a good job.
Yeah.
I still don't think it's like that good of a movie. It's weird. If you're looking for something that's like artistic and freaky, yeah, that I should do. But anyway, Jennifer Lawrence, yeah, once again doing really good stuff in here. Um, I think a scene where you really get to, once again, her acting chops is when she's like, I need to see District 12. She needs to see her home district, right? And Gail's like, "Are you sure?" They destroyed. It's completely decimated. She's like, "I need to see it." So she goes there, and we're going down familiar streets and roads, and we're just buildings just decimated, and dust and ash and all the stuff there. And she finally gets up like this tiny little hill of rubble and debris. She climbs over, and she sees the big mining crane that we've seen in past movies, and it's just like wrecked and in pieces. And then there's like a little a field of burnt corpses, like bones and stuff like that. And she drops to her knees, and she's like shaking, and the tears are coming, and such a solid performance by Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah, it really
You're,
is.
yeah, I really think she's one of the best actresses uh, of the past. I'll say the past 15 years. 'Cause,
I was gonna
she
say 10 or 15,
10 or
yeah.
15 years. Yeah, I know she's been taking a break lately. She hasn't really been in anything, which I don't blame her. She was getting real burnt out from what I heard, because she was like constantly. She was like in at
Yeah,
least
she was
one movie every year.
constantly producing films, and I
Yeah,
feel like once an actor gets themselves to a place where they can be more selective, like that
yeah.
has to be a difficult job because you do put yourself through so many emotional characters, and to be convincing, you have to put yourself into that character's shoes. That can fuck a person up, and we've seen actors admit that they've been put into really awful headspaces by certain roles that they've taken on.
Yeah.
So it's good for her to be able to like take a step back and take a break. Um, I definitely respect all artists when they are like, I need some, R and
Oh
R.
yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah, and I'm sure she. I mean, I think that's the last big movie she did was X-Men Dark
Hmm.
Phoenix,
Yeah,
which, from what I understand, she was pretty very much done with the X-Men franchise even before that movie, and you can kind of see it, like in
yeah,
her
you can. And
performance.
then
She's
that
not all
movie just
there.
was awful. So like
Yeah, Fox
that can't
really.
help.
I'm so pissed at Fox for the way they handled that X-Men franchise. I mean, because
I
it's one
know
of the
they could have done so much better, and I feel like that's another franchise that eventually someone else will pick up and do something with.
Oh yeah,
Please.
now that Disney bought Fox, they're going to bring the mutants into the MCU um,
Yeah,
at some point. Maybe not in. I think they're probably just going to hint at them throughout the next phase, whenever the next phase gets back on track. Uh, but I don't see it. But I don't see them coming in anytime with like the next 3 or 4 years. I think it's
oh
going to
yeah,
be a
no,
while.
it'll be a while. It'll
Yeah,
be a
I mean,
while.
they got to integrate Blade. They got to figure out how to. Oh yeah, vampires have been around the whole time. Like they got to figure out how to like.
That's
Sure they have.
surprise.
Sure, Shield just knew nothing about them, and Doctor Strange never mentioned them, and
Yep,
they
no.
and they didn't come out even though half
I
the
want I
planet got
want
wiped.
someone to just be like, you guys didn't think to mention this.
You know,
Like someone has to say that one.
unless they pull some multiverse shit, which maybe they do. Maybe that's how they're going to introduce Blade. He's in the Doctor Strange 2 when they do the multiverse of madness. Maybe they're going to do that. But
Maybe.
anyway, show. Uh, yeah, but anyway, so we're moving on.
So Katniss goes to. They show her District 12.
Yeah,
This is after the president, Al McCoy, has basically told her. They tell her what has been going on about this rebellion plot, and how now she is the Mockingjay. She is the symbol of the rebellion. She is the symbol that gives hope to all of these people. And they basically need her to go, like, kind of go back on a very unsafe press tour of sorts. Like it's
yeah.
it's very strategic. Um, and to get the other districts to join the rebellion side. So I think they go to District 8 first. Oh, and Effie and Gail come back. Like Effie, it turns out Effie is now part of the rebellion,
Yeah, she
which
got like
which
forced
is
into
so
it.
cool. Because I don't they don't she wasn't in the rebellion before. I think it's very evident that it's through her relationship with Katniss and that relationship revealing the things that are wrong around her that she's like, what other choice do you have? She really
Yeah,
cares about Katniss and Peeta, so she wants to protect them, which means that she needs to join the side that's trying to protect them.
yeah. It's really weird because Effie is, as we spoke before, she is a product of the capital. She is a woman
Hmm.
of privilege. She hasn't had to like worry or suffer a day in her life
Yeah,
basically about what her next meal or she could have enough money for that. Uh, but because she's grown to care about Katniss and Peeta, in a weird way, she's been a better mom to Katniss and Katniss's actual fucking mom.
yeah,
It's
no,
kind of weird.
that's
That's
really
good.
fair assessment. She
Yeah,
becomes this motherly figure. Um,
yeah,
and I would argue that yeah, she probably looks at Katniss like her kid.
yeah.
It's at least her responsibility. I think that's clear in the character that she feels responsible for Katniss.
Yeah, yeah, and she's there for Katniss. At first, she doesn't want to come out of her room because she's just wearing like a jumpsuit. She all her like posh stuff, her makeup, her jewelry, her designer like
Yeah, it's
hair,
all
wigs, it's all gone. She doesn't want to come out. But then Plutarch is like, okay, fine, I'll find someone else to get Katniss into shape. And then but Effie's just like, oh, you think anyone else could do it
yeah,
but
you
me?
can't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
But it's a good arc for the character. So they go to District 8, and they're visiting wounded soldiers, and these soldiers salute to Katniss, and in retaliation, the capital sends an airstrike and kills everyone. And during this attack, Katniss and Gale are able to shoot down two of the capital hovercrafts.
yeah,
Uh, and the famous line from this film, I feel, if we, Katniss looks into a camera and says, "If we burn, you burn with us."
yeah.
They're not, basically, the rebellion's here. They're not taking this shit anymore. And if this is what you're going to do to us, this is what we're going to do to you because you
Yeah.
did it to us. I think that's pretty clear too.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, no. She's because at this point she's not. She's seen what happened to District 12.
Hmm.
She's seen the people in District 8, and in that scene, the bombers take out the hospital. They're not even targeting her. Like they know she's in the area. But President Snow's like, "Hey, I put out the new law. If you associate with Katniss, you're a criminal." And they take out
Yeah.
this hospital, this defenseless fucking hospital, and that's what leads to her great speech. Um, and and at this point, Katniss is basically she's in battle mode, but we still have scenes in the movie where she's like, you see, like, God, she wishes she could just go back the way before. Like, there's that scene where her and Gale are back in District 13, and they're allowed to go above ground and do some like hunting, get some food like they used to. And they have that scene where they're sitting by the river, and Katniss puts her head on Gale's shoulder, and you can tell that's just her wishing, God, she could turn back time, but she can't
Hmm.
because one,
Yeah,
they're
you can.
short, and two, Gale just kind of gets up and walks away, and he says, he's like I get it, but we're not going back there. Another thing, like Gale, we've been kind of seeing a bit of a fury building in Gale in the movies, and this one's like he's full blown soldier mode, and he's like, you're either with us or against us. It's black or fucking white, and
Yeah.
he's like he still cares about Katniss, but he's not like uh, uh
There's a bigger picture, and he's very zeroed in on it,
yeah,
and it doesn't matter how much you care about the people around you. When shit's hitting the fan, you have to turn the fan off.
yeah.
Or when you're in a room filled with fire, as I am, you need to put the fire out.
Yes.
And so that's where he's focused on. And yeah, it's a very, you're either with us or you're not, and
Yeah.
then you're our enemy.
Yeah. And that's a problem because this leads into another part of the film is that he because Peeta they were unable to grab PETA when the dome broke in the last movie, um, which pisses off Katniss because Hamish promised that he would save PETA, but they were unable to do it, and that that leads to some of her resistance in the beginning of the movie to be the Mockingjay. But the Capitol is now using PETA to make do propaganda interviews that they put out on the TV,
Yeah.
and Katniss can tell right off the bat that there's something wrong with PETA. He looks a little there's something off in his eyes. He's not acting quite right. He looks like he's
Yeah.
a little, and we see which each video that they put out, where it's him and Stanley Tucci's character, the Hunger Games host, interviewing him. He looks more and more malnutrition. Like he's a little more.
Hmm.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Gaunt.
Gaunt. Yes, that's it. Yeah, right there. So yeah, and Katniss realized that they must be manipulating him in some way, threatening to kill somebody, or maybe they're doing something to get him to do what they want to do. But Gail's like, fucking traitor, and everybody in District 13 sees the video, and like this whole, like, the scene where you first see him, they're all like in this lunchroom, the army base lunchroom, and the galley, I guess you would say, or something, and they're just like, traitor, traitor. But Katniss loves PETA, and she was in the games with him. She understands that you get up on stage and you do your like little act for the people, for the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
So she understands like this has got to be some form of that. But everyone else is like, fuck that. But Katniss sticks to her guns. She tells the Julianne Moore's character, like, if you want me to be the Mockingjay, you have to rescue the other victors who are not
Yep.
rescued, like me, and PETA has to be like, he has to be forgiven of any crimes he may have committed because they're obviously manipulating him. She's like, she is 100% loyal to PETA, and that's it's really nice to see that evolution of their characters, where she didn't give a shit about him to not give a
Yeah.
not give a shit, but like indifferent to like
Indifferent and
to
kind
Mrs.
of neglected his feelings for, I mean, obviously for survival. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's still not very nice.
No,
Still
no,
not a
no,
very
no,
nice thing to do.
no, no, no,
Um,
no.
so I do want to talk about the song from this movie because I
Oh
don't remember.
yeah,
I don't know if you remember 2014, but I vividly do.
yeah. This
And I
song
was
was pretty
working
pop. Go
at a
for it.
Dunkin' Donuts, and this
Yeah,
song used to come on like once an hour.
it was super
So at first
popular.
I was like, this is kind of cool. And then by the end of that job, I was just like, I fucking hate this song. I hate it because I had to hear it every day. But now, like years later, it's like good on this movie for having an original song that really did like get airwave on the radio. Like this movie series was that popular as well that it was, that song was really fucking popular. But yeah, we have a scene where Katniss sings "The Hanging Tree," and the response to every action that she does that is caught on camera has a reaction. So the reaction to this action is that District 5, there's a suicide attack by District 5 on a hydroelectric dam in the capital that is the primary source of electricity for the capital. Then that forces the capital to like run generators.
Yeah,
But like that the action reaction just keeps building throughout this film, and I think this one was just a very intense action and reaction
yeah,
to witness.
yeah. No, definitely. Yeah. Because you're right. It was a suicide run that they
Hmm.
did on that dam. Like there was no way. Like you see them plant like these large crates, like you see like 5 feet long crates with probably very powerful explosives or whatever they could cobble together, probably some kind of homemade stuff.
Yeah, homemade bomb.
And you see them run. You see them, they plant the bombs, they set the timer, and the timers go off like 5 seconds later. You see them run, but why run? You can outrun a dam,
Yeah.
exploding in the water. So, I guess it was just like, instinct, just, even though there's no running, but yeah. So yeah, just the fires catching people are ready to like give their lives for this cause at this point.
Hmm.
Uh, but of course, more and more consequences come along. Eventually, because the power is out, they do decide to start their rescue mission to try to go get the other victors, which they found out through their spy network or whatever that they're being kept in the Victor's Tower, the big
Mm-hmm.
like hotel-esque building that they would keep the Victors in during the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
So they go in and they get the Victors out, and they get the Victors out too easily. Like Gail said, like when we were,
Yeah, it's very especially because right before they go for the victors, there's another video with PETA,
yeah,
and he at the end of that video breaks his composure and like pleads
yeah,
that the Capitol is about to attack District 13. And so District 13 is actually able to get everyone back down to the undergrounds, and the majority of the people, the whole facility survive.
yeah.
And so that really like solidifies this rescue plan. And obviously, having had this happen and knowing that PETA warned them, it's very bizarre that PETA specifically was so easy to rescue. And
Yeah.
it's just very as the kids say these days, it's very sus. It's very suspicious that they're able to get to these victors as easily as they are.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And as they're getting out of there, PETA goes apeshit and just attacks Katniss.
Yeah.
And she ends up blacking out. And they are actually, they're able to get out of there, and she wakes up back in District 13, and it's revealed that PETA has actually been heavily manipulated, and I can't remember the term that they use, but he's been brainwashed or hijacked. That's the term that they
Well,
use.
yeah,
He's
they
been hijacked by the Capitol.
yeah. Well, they do something that is a nice little nod to the continuity of this. They say that they use the tracker jacker venom that we saw in the first movie, those beads, those tracker that their venom causes you to hallucinate. So they use the tracker jacker venom to cause a series of in combination with other brainwashing techniques to condition PETA to be afraid at the sight of Katniss, that to make him to activate his fight or flight. Yeah, and in this case, the fight, because he sees when he sees her, he's triggered, and he sees her as a threat to his own life, and he automatically tries to kill Katniss. In a very like fucking brutal scene, like he's thrown Katniss all around this room, and takes a couple of guys to get him off. Even in his malnutrition state, PETA.
Yeah, it's a very violent attack.
Yeah, and of course, the movie ends with like the president of District 13 giving this speech about like the rebellion moving forward, but Katniss is walking to PETA, and he's like strapped to a hospital bed in this one room, and he's like jerking around, like he's like he's freaking out, like whatever's going on with him. Whatever's going on with him, it's going to take time to fix it, if they can fix it, because they indicate like
if they can fix it, because that's this is part one, so there's obviously some a bit of a why cliffhanger. I was like, why won't my brain work? There's a cliffhanger ending, but they do a very good job of it, because obviously that has no resolution at the end of this movie. PETA's just strapped down and obviously brainwashed, and then we know going into the next film that the rebellion's next move is to go after District 2, which is the new military district after District 13 disappeared, or was destroyed. So yeah, it ends on a very intense and solemn and kind of traumatizing note, especially for Katniss, because here's this person that she went through all of this shit with, this person who she relied on and truly cares about, and he has been brainwashed against her. Like the last person that she would want to turn against her has been turned against her. So that has to be, a pretty intense thing going into the next film.
So we got a lot of stuff they got to cover in the next film. The fate of PETA. They're gonna get to President Snow. Is Katniss going to be able to keep her shit together, because she just keeps getting constantly fucking traumatized?
And I think that's the thing about people in wartime, or people who go through a revolution like this. Like it's a constant trauma, like trauma on top of trauma, and that has to be very hard to navigate. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects, or if that affects her performance in the rebellion, or
Yeah,
her actions through the rebellion, I
yeah,
guess, because
because
she didn't really, you know Katniss didn't really have a choice
yeah,
in any of this, really.
I know.
I mean, the only choice that she had, like the butterfly effect of her life, was that she volunteered to save her sister.
Yeah,
And if it had not been her, then perhaps her sister would have been the symbol. There are a lot of what ifs.
yeah, and one thing I want to bring up is that even though she's technically like, I mean, the rebellion is like they're kind of like the good guys. The way like they're handling her still feels reminiscent of the Capitol because
Yeah,
they have her make propaganda films. They even have the one scene where they use like a holographic green screen and she's supposed to make this like we stand together, we are united,
yeah.
like but it doesn't work because Katniss can't fucking act. She and the Hamish brings up like you can't
Which, good
force.
performance, an actor pretending that they can't act.
Yes,
That's
that can be very hard.
that's
Like,
really meta.
because there's got to be a part of their brain that's like, no, do better. But like, oh wait, no, I'm not supposed to be better. Like,
I'm not supposed
uh,
to be better. I'm supposed to be really bad
yeah,
right now.
yeah. So they are kind of using her in a way, which gives the background vibe because like I mean, a lot of people, several of the people involved in rebellion are former capital citizens, people who lived
Right.
in the capital. So this is just the way they know how to do things. Like
Yeah,
Plutarch,
it's a very
yeah,
dog eat dog situation where a large group of people has been treated a certain way, and in retaliation the only thing that they know is how they've been treated, so they're going to retaliate that way, and that's very much what's happening.
yeah,
And also, I think there's a realization that if they don't retaliate this way, what are they going to accomplish? Because I feel like an oppressor's fear is being oppressed, the way that
yeah,
they oppress others. And so, I think that's made very clear in this through the fear campaigns, and how everything that Snow does is very much driven out of a fear of what is going to happen to him when these people get their hands on him, because it's not going to be good.
oh yeah,
Definitely
yeah,
not going to be a good thing
hell
when the
no,
rebellion catches up to him.
yeah, which yeah, I mean, uh, and. One of the things I think the problem of this movie has, and I think it's a problem with a lot of once again, this was during that trend of, book adaptation films where it's like, oh, the
Yeah,
last one, the studio wants to, oh God, I
they
want
want
more of
to.
that.
We're going to stretch it out and
Let's
get the
stretch it out,
the
you
most
know,
money out of these viewers that we can.
yeah, which is a good thing and a bad thing because like they're books, they're not exactly structured the same way movies are structured. Because we see that all the time when a book is adapted into a film. There's all scenes or maybe entire characters that are left out in the movie because we don't the movie would be 4 hours long at that point. So that's the advantage. But when you do these part one, part two things, and I think this also kind of it felt kind of the same way when it came to like Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part One. It's
Oh,
like
I can't. Well, I've already spoken about how I can't stand this movie.
that's okay. We're not gonna
They're
get that.
not true to the book at all. So
Uh,
fuck Warner Brothers.
I will take your word on that because I haven't read all the books. So, but it's that part one. It's like we're left on, and this one we're left on kind of a cliffhanger. But it's like that lack of conclusion. Like this isn't a
Yeah,
complete story, right? I think the only movies that have escaped that were Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame. But with those ones, it's like Infinity War felt like a complete story, whereas
yeah,
Endgame felt more like if Infinity War was the first and second act, then Endgame was the third act, which I still really enjoyed Endgame, don't get me wrong, but I would say that Endgame was not quite as good as Infinity War. Still good. I was still very happy as a guy who's been watching these Marvel movies since Iron Man 1 came out. I was still
yeah.
satisfied with it. But that's the problem with these part ones, part two is like the part one always doesn't feel like I want it to be its own story. I want it to have its own conclusion,
Yeah,
and it does
absolutely.
bug me a bit, and because a lot of it's just a lot of this one is just so much set up for the second one, and I
No, and
think
it
that's
really
the
is.
problem.
Like there's some rising. It's all rising action. That's the
Yeah.
issue with this film.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
entire film is rising action, and right before you start to get to the climax of everything, it cuts off. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's quite literally where the movie cuts off for the book is as you're entering the climax, because that's the last film, I'm assuming, is the last bit of this rising action leading into a climax and then your conclusion.
Yeah. It's like
And
it's like they tease you. You know, it's like, oh, I'm going to take you out to dinner, and you can get an appetizer,
Yeah.
main course, and dessert, and they give you the appetizer, and I'm like, oh, great, got my appetizer. Now my main course with my double decker burger, my fries, and they give you the fries, and like, oh, you get the burger and the dessert later. We're gonna give you the
Yeah, you'll
burger.
get that later.
We're gonna
It'll
give you
be
that
here in like an
tomorrow.
hour.
We're like,
And you're
no,
just
not
like, what the
tomorrow.
fuck?
It's dinner right now. I don't
Oh,
wait till
yeah.
tomorrow.
Like,
Like,
hello?
why? Like, because I did want to bring that stuff up because there's a lot of good stuff going on. So once again, we say wonderful acting by the cast. Uh,
Yeah.
Great, like the little nods to continuity, the changing of the tide of and everything. But it's just the movie does have problems, and that's one of the problems with it. Uh, but it's still not a bad movie. I think it's like if I had to like give it like a rating, I think because it's got that part one syndrome. We'll call it the part one syndrome. I don't know if there's an actual term, but we're gonna call it that part one syndrome.
Yeah.
I think it comes out because all that stuff is holding it down. It leaves you unsatisfied in a way. I would say like a C plus to a B minus. I think it's in that kind of area. If I had to give it a rating, which I'm usually not big on ratings to be honest, but if I
Yeah.
had to like to express how I'm feeling about it, but yeah, but of course that's all going to get settled for us. We're going to check out Mockingjay Part
Mockingjay
Two,
Part
which
2.
which I do remember. I mentioned this last time. I do remember certain big scenes in Part Two, but I don't remember a ton. Like I remember certain
Yeah.
points. Like I feel like I remember the third act the best of that movie. I don't know why. I guess we're gonna find out when I watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any closing thoughts for you, Jay?
Not really. I think we covered everything pretty well. Um, Pretty interested to see what the fourth. I've never seen the fourth film, so I'm
Oh,
interested to
okay.
see what it does to the book. Because I so far this is very much a series that stayed true to the book and didn't trim anything off that was really missed.
Yeah.
Like little pieces here and there to shorten things is great, but they kept everything relevant to the movie. So another nod to everyone involved. And again, that could be because we've had the same production team this whole time.
Oh yeah.
We've had only two directors that I remember. So like the first director was different, and then we've had the same director the last two films, and I'm assuming that Francis Lawrence will be directing the last film. So that could be because we have the same team involved and they were very dedicated to sticking to the book.
Oh yeah.
um but yeah, they do a phenomenal job, and
Oh good. I'm glad to
obviously I'm a
hear
stickler for that
it.
because that's the reason why I do not like Harry Potter, and I really couldn't finish The Hobbit. Like I just like Lord of the Rings was so good, they did a really good job with
They did
those,
a
but
fantastic job with Lord of the Rings.
yeah, but then they really fucked up that Hobbit movie. They really
Yeah,
did.
they wanted their money. They're like, we want another
Yeah, and you know
trilogy.
what?
Like
Just
Tolkien didn't make another trilogy. And like, we'll make another trilogy. And like,
and
ooh.
it's like, but you could have done so much. You could have done the Hobbit and then the Silmarillion and like other works that Tolkien wrote.
Yeah,
You
they
didn't
got that.
have to just you didn't just have to take the Hobbit and go, nope, it's three
Yeah,
movies
let's
now.
take this kid's book and try to like stretch it and
Yeah, and
elevate
it's
it to
like
the level
Jesus
of the Lord
Christ.
of the
I
Rings.
think we all read that in like freshman year. You
Yeah,
think like I and even I can tell you that wasn't in the book. Like
yeah.
that didn't happen.
No, they got
But yeah.
they got that TV series in the work. I don't know what it's based on, but
Oh man.
there's a Lord of the Rings TV series. It could be based on the Silmarillion. I know little bits about the Silmarillion, but it could. I don't know. I don't know. Here's the thing. I've become so jaded and cynical when it comes to like reboots and adaptations and spin-offs. Like
Same.
I just have this initial instinct of, ugh. And like I hold myself, and then I'm like, I have that initial. Like, okay, wait, hold on. Really look at what they're saying. What are they putting together?
I
And
just feel like there's too many reboots. Like I'm
yeah, there's a discussion
like
that's been going on in film for like over 10
and
years
it's
now.
not even just in film though, it's also in television. Like
Yeah,
how many TV shows are just movies turned into a TV show? Like
I know.
how fucking stupid is this?
Well, I
Like
mean,
no, I'm not going to watch 10 Things I Hate About You as an ABC family sitcom. Like, that sounds fucking
Oh
stupid.
fuck! I
And it
forgot
was.
about that. I forgot about the show.
I
Yeah,
don't forget these things. You don't ruin my favorite
yeah,
movies, and I forget about it.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, I think that comes from the fact in the past 10 to 15 years, we've seen a very noticeable increase in the quality of television series, especially like
yeah.
stuff like that. So
And
I,
I feel like
I'm not
nostalgia gets the better of people
totally.
because
They're
yeah,
milking that nostalgia udder for every
yeah,
drop it's got.
but they're also making things for younger audiences with our nostalgia, and it
Yeah.
just kind of falls flat every time. Like, my brother is a Gen Z, and I can tell you right now that I don't think he's ever sat down and watched any TV show based on anything I watched as a kid. Like, I feel like he just watches car racing though. He's one of those. He's one of those people.
Yeah.
So
Oh, people come up
one
like,
of
"Oh,
those.
I love that Muppet movie with Jason Segel." Bitch, you don't know the Muppets. I knew them when
Yeah,
they
it's
were
like, what are you
fucking
talking
babies,
about?
man.
You have no idea.
Can you even sing the Rainbow Connection, bitch? Like,
You ever seen and like, honestly, the Muppet Christmas Carol is arguably, or Muppet Pirate Island. Like, those are the two best
okay.
Muppet films,
Yeah,
and we
try.
all know it. We
They're
all know
good. They're still. Oh, I am a sucker for the Cabin Fever song they do on the deck of the ship and Treasure
Oh
Island.
yeah,
Oh God, yes,
but it's so good. And
yeah.
the newer one is just, it doesn't live up to it. It really doesn't.
Well, I like the one where with Jason Segel in it. I really enjoyed that one, and that happened because of him. He made that movie happen because he did
Oh,
that.
that's good.
Yeah, because he got to work with puppets like on in the movie Forgetting About Sarah Marshall, because at the end of the movie he's a writer that
You're
has right.
right.
Yeah, and he puts together that play with puppets, and he's like,
Puppets.
this is so awesome, and he loved the Muppet movies as a kid, and that movie happened because of him. Now the sequel,
That's enlightening. Like,
yeah,
that's cute.
now the
I like when
sequel,
actors do things like that. They're like, I really, if they do it justice, like, you can tell how much they enjoyed what they're portraying.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Now the sequel, Muppets Most Wanted or whatever it was called,
Yeah,
that
that's
wasn't
the one I'm talking about. Like, that
okay. Yeah,
one
that one I
was
didn't. I was like, what
that
happened?
yeah,
I was
that
expecting
exactly.
goodness.
Like, what happened? Yeah, we got one good like modern Muppet movie.
Yeah,
And maybe we'll get more. But yeah, no, the one with the two Kermits was just very not good.
yeah.
It was not good.
Well, all right. Well, we have once again gone way off topic, but it's okay because we're at the end of the video. A little Muppet talk. Who doesn't like a little Muppet talk? God damn it.
I feel like everybody likes the Muppets.
Yeah, yeah. People who don't like Muppets are commies. I don't know. I don't fuck. That's the that's the '80s kid in me coming out right there. But anyway, uh, all right. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in for another episode of the POVincent podcast. Remember, you can catch us on YouTube, Spotify, Libsyn, Stitcher, Apple
Mhm.
Podcasts, and catch us all around. If you do enjoy the show, click that follow, subscribe button, whatever button you got to click to get more episodes. And if you want to contribute to the show, uh, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/POVincent. If you have the money, cool. If you don't have the money, holy shit, we understand. Don't worry about but just follow and subscribing would be great help right now. But until next time, Jay, thank you once again for
Yeah,
joining me.
not a problem.
And thank you for the River's Edge Online Radio Network for supporting the
Hmm.
show. I'm Vincent Diniano. Thank you for viewing things from my point of view. Take it easy.
Yeah.